Hello everybody, and before today's video, I just wanted to give a huge shout out to TeePublic because Teespring has been having some issues with my shirts where they have not been telling me about sales that have been going on that I know have been going on because people have told me they bought the shirt and they've been showing me the purchases that they've made, but it hasn't been showing up on my end. And so I don't know what's going on there. I'm still trying to get back with them, but in the meantime, I went ahead and started a store over on TeePublic because I've kind of want to diversify anyway. And right now, there's actually a really good sale going on the website for the next 36 hours. You have $13 t-shirts there. $13 t-shirts. You can get an Odin's Movie Blog t-shirt for $13. You can also get a hoodie. You can get a kid's t-shirt. You can also get a mug. It also comes with a lot of things like phone cases, laptop cases, magnets, tank tops. They've got pretty much everything in the standard Odin's Movie Blog logo with my favorite color, green. So go ahead and check that out. You got some different phone options here. Most of them are iPhones. You do get some Galaxy options as well. But anyway, check out the merchandise. I'd appreciate it. Support the channel. Check the link in the description. All right, now for the video. Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well. And today we're talking about Quentin Tarantino, who's probably one of the most talented filmmakers still working in Hollywood today, and probably one of my all-time favorite filmmakers as well, making some great films like Pulp Fiction. I would even put films like The Hateful Eight in there, of films that I've just thoroughly enjoyed. And of course, Inglourious Basterds might be my all-time favorite Quentin Tarantino film. But what's great about Quentin Tarantino is that you have so many different people with so many different opinions about his movies because of just not only how well they are made, but also because of the subject matter that he usually decides to do. It's always going to be some type of an original story. It's always going to be possibly inspired by history, possibly inspired by actual real life events, but it's always going to be in a unique way. It's always going to do, it's basically Quentin Tarantino is going to do whatever he wants to do. And that still holds true with this new bit of information and new bit of news that we're getting, which just, when it comes to my respect of him as a filmmaker, it has now just grown exponentially because of this news right here. And that is, of course, Quentin Tarantino is holding firm and will not recut Once Upon a Time in Hollywood for China. Screw China. All of you are probably aware of the various situations going on in China right now. Obviously, you got the Hong Kong protests going on because of the extradition law, which was scrapped a little while ago from what I've been reading up on the news. Also, of course, you got the Blizzard situation of one of their players being taken out of commission because of the fact that they had something about Hong Kong in their name or something to that effect. Again, I'm not much of a gamer, but I have, been on the peripheries following that news story just a little bit. And of course, the news came out about the NBA and, of course, South Park has just been on par and it's just been on point, calling out people like Disney, calling out the NBA, calling out all these different groups that are basically kowtowing to China and also are just giant hypocrites in the process, where they'll talk about free rights, they'll talk about freedom of speech, they'll talk about, human rights here in the United States and about how somehow, some way people's free speech and human rights are being restricted here in the United States. And yet they will continue to take money from one of the most corrupt governments, from one of the most corrupt countries, from one of the countries that has the least amount of freedom for anyone, and that is, of course, China. And so for Quentin Tarantino to basically say, screw you, China. I don't care what your censors want. I don't care what your government agency is going to determine is good or bad for your audiences. At the end of the day, you are a corrupt organization. Now, of course, he's not saying this outright, but I think that in my head, this is what he's saying. I think that he's basically telling them, screw you. You don't control film. You don't control my film at the very least, and therefore you don't get it. It's either you take it as it is or you don't get it. And so China's saying, okay, we won't take it. And he's like, okay, that's fine. I'm making money off of this film here domestically. I'm making money off of this film in the foreign markets without your help, and screw you. And it's really great because, as I said, most companies nowadays pretty much go ahead and go along with anything that China wants. Anything that China dictates, they will do. South Park had a great episode talking about how, Disney will basically edit their films and do whatever the Chinese government tells them to do, saying, oh, the Chinese censors want this cut, this cut, this cut. And that includes some instances of, for example, having gay relationships in some of their TV shows or in some of their movies where they actually will cut or will recut some scenes to not have certain innuendos or not have certain parts of that in their movie in order for it to get through the Chinese censors. What's interesting to me, though, is that Disney and groups like Disney that do that for China aren't called out on that. It's so funny how we are just so quick to judge people here in the United States. We are so quick to go after people for not agreeing with someone, for not believing and supporting and being woke enough, right? And yet these same companies that are pushing this sense of wokeness, these same companies that are pushing these political agendas in the United States, when it comes to China, they would much rather sit back, do whatever it is they tell them to do, so just so that they could sit back and collect that money, collect that paycheck from China, even though obviously they're not getting nearly as much from China as they would from other countries as far as percentage goes, because just there's billions of, there's so many people that are in China right now, and they know the Chinese government, because it controls all information and many other aspects of society over there as a communist regime, then they know that they're guaranteed to have a decent amount of money for that showing, which is, again, one of the reasons why I've been calling out Disney for a long time now. It's so funny to read comments saying, oh, your conspiracy theory about Disney and China is ridiculous. And now all of a sudden, people are starting to call out Disney because of their relationship with China. And obviously, it's a little bit different than what I was saying. I was saying that they were making deals with China behind and was really, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what they're doing, right? I think that some studios are not willing to go to the lengths that Disney is willing to go in order to get their films to play in China. And I think that I really want someone to look into what China, or rather what Disney is doing with their movies. I want someone, maybe someone on the ground. We talked about this last night on Friday Night Tights. It'd be really great for someone on the ground, and I know we have a couple people at least watching over there that can actually get access to us, probably because they're using VPNs or other means, because obviously China has the internet on lockdown over there, which is, again, just insane. It really is amazing to me that we live in such an amazing country in the United States. I might have issues with presidents, I might have issues with Congress, I might have issues with different political parties, but at the end of the day, at least we live in a country where I can go on this microphone and speak and not have to worry about getting fined and not have to worry about being arrested like they do over in China. It's really insane, and that's why for anyone that's fighting for freedom over there, anyone that's fighting for free speech, anyone that's fighting for basic human freedoms, I will support. Obviously, I don't agree with violence. I don't agree with unnecessary violence, especially. I've always been more of a pacifist when it comes to this kind of stuff. Even here in our own country, and obviously it's not my place to dictate to them how they handle these things. However, I am always going to be on the side of freedom, and the fact that you now have millions marching in the street, it seems, for freedom and burning LeBron jerseys and waving American flags and doing all these things that seem to indicate that they indeed want it for themselves. And it's not just a government or a political party or political leader trying to take control over anything, but it's just the people trying to speak up saying, we're tired of this, we're done with this. That's something to support, and I really hope that our government and governments around the world support these people, because I think that we are far past the age of being able to accept communism. I think we are far past the age of being able to accept these kind of principles that limit human freedom, that limit the ability for someone to be creative, and also create a situation like this where an entire country can't see and can't watch a movie unless, of course, they're using a VPN or some other means of, in their country, illegal means in order to get access to it. The fact that there are films that are not allowed to be shown in China is just insane to me. Again, as someone that lives in a country where freedom is a big major part of it, it boggles my mind that there's still a place in the world that is as big as China, right? Not a developing country, but a very well-developed country. The fact that that is still being handled, or rather that is still being accepted by its people, it just boggles my mind, which is why now seeing all these people stand up, all these people marching, and all these people speaking out about it has been fantastic. And I'm so glad that we have companies in the United States that have the guts, that have the cojones to be able to speak out against China and say, yeah, you know what? We don't care if we piss you off. We don't care if we don't get your money, because at the end of the day, we would rather be on the side of what's right. We would rather be on the side of what's correct. We would rather be on the side of freedom than be like Disney or the NBA and make these damn deals with them because they want the money. They want the easy access money, and they'll go ahead and be hypocrites and say, oh, we'll preach to you here in the United States, but when it comes to having our movies, or when it comes to giving speeches that have something that China doesn't agree with, we're going to cut that out because we don't want to piss them off. We don't want to make them angry because our paychecks rely on them. And I understand business is business, but it also comes to the point of the day where don't be hypocritical in that, right? Don't be hypocritical when you're covering this stuff. Don't be hypocritical when you are making these movies and you are going to go ahead and get access to that country, and other films are not going to get access because the Chinese government. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it'd be really cool if we could have companies come together here in the United States and around the world and say, we're no longer doing business with you until you change things, right? No, obviously that's easier said than done, and I still stand by. I think that the people of that country are the ones that should be demanding and should be pushing for change, and they are already doing that. But I think that we could easily do anything to show our support on our end. And I think people like Trey Parker, Matt Stone for South Park, and now Quentin Tarantino, and many others who have now been speaking out even more so because of this issue. And I think even more people will start speaking out against it too, especially when you have giant names like Tarantino, putting their foot down saying, I'm definitely not changing my film. I'm definitely not editing my film just for your damn censors to be able to approve it. I don't need your Chinese money to be able to do that. I think that hopefully with big names like this starting to speak out against it, and other names that I've mentioned before speaking out, will eventually lead to more and more people speaking out against China, and hopefully will lead to change in that country as well. But anyway, let me know your thoughts about this. Let me know your thoughts about Quentin Tarantino. Do you think that he is a badass for saying, screw you, I'm not recutting my film? I'm all for that. As I said before, I kind of can't wait for the 4K cut of this film to come out. I've already, it hasn't come out on pre-order yet for the film. I was thinking of Joker. I've already pre-ordered, but I can't wait to get the 4K of this one because I know that it's going to have amazing special features. I know that there's probably going to be a longer version of the film, I imagine, because I know that he had hours of extra content that he could have put in the film, but obviously he was somewhat limited in what he could do. And I can't wait because this film was fantastic. It really, it's still playing in theaters. They don't even have a release date for it on 4K or on Blu-ray yet. So if you have not seen this film and it's still playing near you, I recommend it. And even if you are having no interest in it, even if you've seen it already, I think that it's things like this, stories like this, that should make us say, you know what, maybe I'll go out and support you even more so, give you another one of my dollars, because you know what, this is something that deserves to be praised. This is something that deserves to be rewarded. And even though Tarantino is definitely quite a character when it comes to a lot of his movies and a lot of his interviews and the things he said, I do think that this dude is definitely one of the most unique people in Hollywood right now, because he is not afraid to call anyone out. He's not afraid to go after the freaking Chinese government. He's not afraid to go after damn interviewers that are trying to say, how come your female characters don't have enough lines? And he comes out with that amazing, I just reject your hypothesis, which again, every single one of us that was listening did, because obviously that question was loaded and was complete BS. But dude, Tarantino doing a solid one, and I think he deserves our support. Let me know your thoughts about this and all the things we talked about in the comment section below. If you like this video, smash that like button, give me a subscribe, it helps me out a lot. You're all amazing, beautiful people. And also, because it is indeed going to be the anthem of the day, screw China. Seriously, I really hope that the people there can continue to stand up against their government and that the communist regime falls, because again, 2019, we talk about 2019 a lot and how, we're so far past these various things in our own country, but I think that in the world stage that we should be far past communist regimes at this point. But that's just me. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and as always, God bless.